Republican Senator John McCain slamming President Obama's response to the Russian meddling in the U.S. election. McCain says the current investigation into the Kremlin's interference not enough. Here's what he told our Jake Tapper.
We need to have a select committee. Jake, the responsibilities for cyber is spread over about 4 different committees in the Senate, and each doing their own thing, frankly, is not going to be the most efficient way of arriving at a conclusion. This is serious business.
The push for a select committee is bipartisan. Joining McCain's push is Republican Senator Lindsey Graham and Democratic Senators Chuck Schumer and Jack Reed. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Paul Ryan want investigations conducted through the already existing Senate and House committees. Tomorrow, the 538 members of the Electoral College meet to formally select the nation's next president. They meet in their respective states, make their votes. Remember, those electors are not constitutionally bound to follow the will of the people they represent, meaning the way you voted and the way your state went, they don't have to vote that way, but they almost always do. Some Electoral College members say they are being pressured to go rogue and become so-called faithless electors. President-elect Donald Trump just tweeted earlier tonight, "If my many supporters acted and threatened people like those who lost the election are doing, they would be scorned and called terrible names." Right now, President-elect Trump is projected to have 306 Electoral College votes. 270 are needed to win. Let's talk about all of it with our panel. Joining me now, CNN political commentator Ben Ferguson, host of the Ben Ferguson Radio Show, and political analyst Michael Nutter, former mayor of the great city of Philadelphia and a Hillary Clinton supporter. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Good to be here.
Thanks, Bobby.
So it's interesting, Ben, this tweet tonight by the president-elect saying, essentially, we can pull it back up, if my many supporters acted and threatened people like those who lost the election are doing, they would be scorned and called terrible names. He's saying, vote the way your state went. Some of these folks are, and their tactics aside, inappropriate to threaten anyone, but are calling into question the legitimacy of the election. Some of them, as you know, 10 electors wanted a CIA briefing about the Russian hack and the intelligence there. Those are some of their concerns. So they're questioning the legitimacy. At the same time, as you know, during the campaign, the president-elect questioned the legitimacy of the process. How do you square the two?
Right. Look, I think it's pretty clear that Donald Trump is the president-elect and Hillary Clinton was the loser in this campaign. And there are some people that are using this for their own personal gain to become, I guess, 15 minutes of fame. Well, here is their moment. They get to talk about all these things that they want to demand. They get to, continue to be upset with the election. But the fact is, this to me really isn't as big of a story as some have made it out to be, because Donald Trump is the president-elect. He's going to get everything that is due to him tomorrow, which the American people voted for him. These others that are sore losers, and Donald Trump is right, as being one of the deplorables out here. If people on the right had done this when Barack Obama had won the second time, you would have been called racists and bigots and homophobes and xenophobes and all the deplorable names. So I do think there is a little bit of a double standard here. But again, it's time to move on past it. Let's get to January. We have a new president coming in. And if these people want to be famous for a moment for being these whatever they want to call themselves, go ahead and do it. Knock yourself out. You still lost.
You think that's what it's about, Mayor Nutter?
No, not at all. It's a shame, Ben, that you don't want to give at least some acknowledgement to the fact part of your statement was incorrect. The American people, by popular vote, actually voted for Hillary Clinton. So this is an unusual circumstance or situation. The electors are not robots. They're real people who have real concerns. A bunch of things happen during the course of the campaign. And as I think Poppy mentioned, even Mr. Trump was questioning the legitimacy of the election. Now that he's won, of course, all those issues in his mind at least go away. So more information.
Do you think that he's not the president, though?
Ben, we're not going to do this tonight. You're going to let me finish. So
I just
a number of intelligence agencies, have now indicated clearly that there was Russian interference in the overall election process. Mr. Trump said one thing during the campaign, post-campaign has said something else. So I think the electors have a right, as they do in many states, to follow their conscience, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Ben, the 12th Amendment doesn't obligate the electors to vote one way or another. You still take issue, though, with what Mayor Nutter is saying. Why?
Well, I mean, look, I think, Mayor Nutter, the fact that you're even implying that somehow this may have not been a free and fair election. I would ask the people that voted in this election if they felt like it was free and fair, and it
the
was.
intelligence agencies did.
Well, okay, let me finish what I was going to say. Second thing is this: you say that all of a sudden, because Hillary Clinton got the popular vote, you use that again to kind of dig at Donald Trump to imply somehow he's not truly the president-elect. He is. This is just undermining democracy. You did. You said, well, this is unprecedented, and we have a president that didn't win the popular vote.
Ben,
That's undermining Donald Trump's
legitimacy. You said the American people voted for him.
We're not going to do this tonight. To quote you, we're not going to do this tonight. Let me finish my point.
Sure.
The Electoral College is what it's all about. And everyone that went in to vote and every candidate that signed up to run, including Hillary Clinton, knew that. And it's her fault that she didn't win enough electoral votes. You blame her for that. You can blame the team for that.
Not a dispute.
Not going to states and taking them for granted. There was many states she did not go to that you guys took for granted and you lost. And that's why she's not president.
So Mayor Nutter, as we heard President Mayor Nutter, as we heard President Obama say in his press conference on Friday, obviously fed up with the fact that Russia was interfering with the electoral process.
Yeah.
But he never once said that this election wasn't a free and fair election. He never once said that the voting machines were tampered with. And I think if my team can pull up this soundbite, I'll see if we have it. Hillary Clinton did say earlier this week. Hillary Clinton did say earlier this week about Russia's interference that it was personal. Listen.
Vladimir Putin himself directed the covert cyber attacks against our electoral system, against our democracy, apparently because he has a personal beef against me.
So, Mayor Nutter, some of her critics read two things from that. They read A, which, it sounded like to them that she was implying that the voting machines themselves were hacked, the election itself was hacked. And secondly, that she is pointing her finger for the loss at Russia rather than taking responsibility herself. How do you see it?
Well, first, I saw the president's press conference, and it is great that President Obama continues to have press conferences. We await the first one from Mr. Trump. But putting that aside, I heard what the president said. I agree with President Obama. I have no evidence, and no one has really laid out any direct evidence that machines were interfered with. But we cannot deny, again, what the three intelligence agencies have laid out, that there was, in fact, or these fingerprints, as they call them, that it appears that Russia did hack into the DNC and access John Podesta's emails, may have coordinated with WikiLeaks to then get them out. So that's the level of interference that I think most people are talking about. I couldn't exactly hear everything that Secretary Clinton
said.
said.
So, Ben, to that point, though,
these are just facts. These are facts out in the marketplace now that all the intelligence agencies agree with.
Ben, to Mayor Nutter's point, I want to ask you this, because as you well know, as I turn my alarm off there that's going off, as you well know, the president-elect has not said what many of his fellow Republicans have said, calling for a select committee to investigate, what the head of the CIA said in a statement this week in agreement with the Director of National Intelligence and the FBI, that indeed Russia did interfere in the election, and they agree on the scope and the intent. Instead, tonight, he's tweeting about electors and people threatening electors. He can tweet about that, but he hasn't tweeted once or said one negative thing or damning thing about Russia interfering in our electoral process or about Vladimir Putin being, as the president pointed his finger to, at the head of it. Not once. Why is that?
I don't think he has to tweet about every single thing.
But Ben, he hasn't even said. He has not said one thing about it, and it is a big deal. And every American should be angry that Ben, should every American not be angry that Russia tried to screw with our election?
We have a president of the United States of America that looked at Vladimir Putin and told him months ago before the election to, quote, cut it out, but did nothing else to stop this hacking. That's somebody that we should be angry at.
But the president-elect in his last press conference 144 days ago, the last thing he said about Vladimir Putin and hacking is perhaps Russia should find Hillary Clinton's emails. That is the last thing he said to address it. He is now the president-elect, Ben. Would you like to hear him say more?
I'm fine with him coming out and tweeting something about this, but I also think he has Republican leaders that he's talking with who made it very clear on Capitol Hill that they're going to investigate this and stop this. But let's also remember this. He's not the president yet.
Well,
He may have
Ben,
a very big
will you
plan on
please
how to deal
answer?
with
Ben, I
come
love having
on.
you on the program, but I really want you to answer my
on.
question. Do you want to hear the president-elect in the next 30 days before he takes office
Sure.
address this
That's
and say,
fine.
Vladimir
I have
Putin,
no-
this is not okay?
I have no problem with him saying that. If he wants
No, but
to
do
tweet
you
it,
want
fine.
him to
I
say
would-
it? Does
yeah,
he need
tweet
to say
Donald
it?
Trump, if you're watching right now, why don't you tweet it so people actually look at the irresponsibility of Barack Obama by not handling this when he is the president of the United States of America? I'd be fine with him tweeting that right now. I hope he does tweet it right now.
Nice try,
but
Ben.
people should be looking at the president, and all he did was say to Vladimir Putin, hey, we know you're hacking into our elections. Cut that out.
So,
And
Mayor
let's not
Nutter, to
forget-
Ben's point, Ben brings
you
up
don't
an
know-
interesting
you don't
point.
know
Ben
what
brings
else
up
the
an
president
interesting.
said or
Ben
did.
brings up an interesting point. And look, one of the fiercest critics of Vladimir Putin, Gary Kasparov, said this week, he believes it is the 8 years of failed Russian policy on behalf of the Obama administration that has allowed it to get to this point, a failed Russian reset. Do you believe does Ben have a point on that?
I'm not exactly sure what Ben's point is, other than not answering your question.
I answered it clearly at the
So
end.
He did answer
no,
it.
you didn't. No, you
just
responded. You
said he
didn't
wants
even
to
answer.
see
But
it.
in any event, Ben,
Do you believe
me
the
answer.
Obama all right,
So-
Mayor Nutter, here's my question to you. Do you believe the Obama administration should
Sure.
have taken a harder line on Russia?
I think President Obama, because he is the president, knows more about all of this than the three of us on the show right now. Second, he said what he said, and that's what he shared with us. We don't know what else was said. And I think the president, I'm certain what he said the other day and has said before, that the United States of America will, in fact, take a series of actions with regard to what Russia has done. Some we will know about, some we won't know about.
What has he
and
done?
I trust President Barack Obama.
So, Ben, to that point,
Bobby,
the
what
What has
president
Donald Trump
did.
done? He's the
Ben,
president-elect.
Ben.
He goes after
All right,
Vanity
I asked the
Fair
questions on this
and
program.
restaurant.
Hey guys, we got 1 minute. Let's get one
restaurant
final question in. Ben, the president said we're going to take action. The public might see some of it. They might not see some of it. Do you want the president-elect to follow through on the action that the sitting president takes?
Absolutely, but he should have done it months ago when he knew they were actually trying to interfere before the election. This is a president that has underestimated Russia, failed on a Russian reset, and most importantly, mocked Mitt Romney when he said the Cold War's over, buddy, and basically acted like Russia was completely under control. Look at what they've been involved in Aleppo, and this president has done nothing to help the people in Aleppo. He continues to give us words, empty words, the same way that Russia knew when he said, cut it out. That was meaningless rhetoric from the president who was going to do nothing to stop them, and that's why they were successful.
Mayor Nutter, 30 seconds.
Yeah, President Obama made very, very clear in the press conference on Friday the complications of Syria and Aleppo, which apparently Mr. Trump completely does not understand. And if he went to a briefing, he might get some more information. And so I think the president has been very measured. He's been very focused and very direct on these issues. But it really does take a coalition to make these things happen.
It's nice to have you both on the program, gentlemen. Ben Ferguson, Mayor
Thanks,
Michael
Bob.
Nutter, thank you both.
Thanks,
Coming up,
Bobby.
Electoral College voters told not to vote